Atheist MC mocked God in front of Donald Trump. It was the worst night of Lisa Carter's career. The stage was set, the audience buzzing with anticipation. The bright lights of the Carter Report illuminated Lisa Carter, the sharp-witted host known for her relentless questioning. She adjusted her earpiece and faced the camera, a confident smirk on her lips. Tonight, Lisa declared, we dive into the mind of Donald Trump, the man who continues to shape political discourse. But more importantly, we question the foundation of his beliefs. Can faith and intellect coexist? Let's find out. The audience erupted in cheers. This was what they had come for, a no-holds-barred debate that would leave no stone unturned. Trump sat across from her, his trademark composure unshaken. He adjusted his tie and leaned slightly forward, signaling he was ready for whatever was coming. Lisa wasted no time. Mr. Trump, she began, her tone sharp but controlled. Recent studies suggest a negative correlation between intelligence and religious belief. It seems the more educated people are, the less they rely on faith. What's your take on that? The question was delivered with precision, her words laced with subtle challenge. The audience, leaning in, waited for the former president's reaction. Trump chuckled softly before responding. Lisa, that's an interesting study, but let me ask you who funded it? A flicker of surprise crossed Lisa's face. The crowd murmured. Trump had turned the question around before even addressing it, he continued, his voice steady. There are plenty of so-called scientific studies that say whatever their sponsors want them to say. But let's talk about reality. Throughout history, some of the greatest minds, Einstein, Newton, Tesla, were people of faith. Are you telling me they lack intelligence? Lisa, maintaining her composure, countered. But Mr. Trump, belief in God was more culturally ingrained in those times. Modern science gives us explanations that were once attributed to faith. Trump nodded. Sure, science explains a lot, but it doesn't explain everything. There are things beyond human understanding, and that's where faith comes in. Intelligence isn't about rejecting belief. It's about being open to what we don't yet fully understand. The audience erupted in applause. Lisa's confidence wavered slightly, but she wasn't done yet. She leaned forward. So you're saying faith has a place in politics? In leadership? Trump smirked. Lisa, everything has a place in leadership, faith, intelligence, common sense. You need all three. The problem today is that some people think they're too smart for faith. That's arrogance, not intelligence. The room was electric. Mark Reynolds, the co-host, sat at the edge of his seat, sensing the energy shift. Lisa regrouped. But faith has also been used to justify dangerous policies, discrimination, and war. Don't you think blind belief can be harmful? Trump nodded. Of course. Anything taken to an extreme can be dangerous. But faith itself isn't the enemy. It's how people use it. The same could be said about science. Nuclear energy can power cities or destroy them. It depends on who's in control. The audience murmured in agreement. Lisa's grip on the debate was slipping. She decided to press harder. But should a world leader make decisions based on faith rather than facts? Trump's expression hardened. Lisa, I never said facts should be ignored. I said faith and intelligence work together. You can be smart and believe in something greater than yourself. The best leaders do. Mark Reynolds cut in. Lisa, Trump makes an interesting point. Many historical leaders balanced faith and reason. Wouldn't you agree? Lisa hesitated for the first time. Trump seized the moment. You see, Lisa, real intelligence isn't about rejecting faith. It's about knowing when to ask bigger questions. The crowd erupted in cheers. Lisa, momentarily thrown off balance, struggled to regain control. The showdown had only just begun. Lisa Carter was in her element. She had spent years perfecting the art of debate, and tonight, she intended to use every tool at her disposal. Her eyes glinted with confidence as she shuffled through her notes, preparing her next move. She cleared her throat and turned to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, let's examine something fascinating. Studies have shown a negative correlation between intelligence and religious belief. She paused for effect, then added, in simple terms, the smarter people are, the less likely they are to believe in God. A murmur of agreement rippled through the audience. Some nodded, others clapped. Lisa allowed herself a small smile before turning her gaze to Trump. Mr. Trump, what do you make of this? Trump, Unfazed, leaned back slightly. He took his time, as if savoring the moment. Then he raised an eyebrow and responded, Lisa, that's an interesting statement. But let me ask you who conducted this study. Who funded it? Lisa's smile faltered for half a second. She knew this tactic well, turning the question back on the interviewer. She straightened in her chair and replied, multiple independent researchers have come to this conclusion. The data speaks for itself. Trump chuckled. Ah, the data. See, Lisa, I love numbers. But I also know numbers can be twisted. Studies can be designed to prove whatever someone wants them to prove. The real question is, are these studies unbiased, or are they pushing an agenda? The audience murmured again, this time more divided. Lisa recognized she had to regain control. She nodded and continued, all right, let's set aside the study for a moment. Let's talk about logic. Religion requires faith belief without evidence. Science, on the other hand, relies on empirical proof. Wouldn't you say that intelligence naturally gravitates toward what can be proven? Trump leaned forward. Lisa, let me tell you something. Science and faith are not enemies. Some of the greatest scientific minds, Newton, Einstein, Tesla, believed in God. Are you saying they weren't intelligent? Lisa pursed her lips. Those were different times. Today, we have access to more knowledge, more understanding of the universe. We don't need religion to explain the world anymore. Trump smirked. Really? Then why do people still turn to faith? Why, despite all the so-called advancements, do billions of people still believe? Lisa hesitated. Tradition, cultural conditioning. Many people inherit their beliefs rather than form them through reason. Trump shook his head. That's an easy answer, but it ignores the truth. People believe because faith gives them something science never will: purpose, hope, meaning. The audience clapped, this time more mixed. Lisa knew she was losing ground. She had to press harder. Mr. Trump, she said, you've been known to cite religion in your speeches. But let's be honest, you are also a businessman. Wouldn't it be fair to say that sometimes faith is used as a tool for influence rather than genuine belief? Trump laughed. Lisa, faith has always been powerful. That's why people attack it. But let me tell you something. People can tell the difference between real belief and manipulation. That's why they support leaders who stand by their values. Lisa narrowed her eyes. So you're saying all religious leaders and politicians are genuine? Trump's smile never wavered. Not at all. But that's true in every field: science, media, even politics. Some people manipulate, and some truly believe. The question isn't whether faith is used, it's whether people let it guide them the right way. Lisa exhaled. She needed to shift gears. She had come in confident, but Trump was pushing back harder than expected. The audience, which had been firmly on her side at the start, now seemed torn. She forced a smile. All right, Mr. Trump, you've made your case. But let me ask you, if intelligence and faith aren't opposed, why do we see so many top scientists rejecting religion? Trump tapped his fingers on the table. Lisa, that's simple. Many scientists are trained to question everything, which is a good thing. But some of them think questioning means rejection. That's not intelligence, it's arrogance. The room fell silent. Even Lisa was momentarily at a loss for words. Trump finished. True intelligence isn't just about knowing facts, it's about knowing what you don't know. The audience erupted in applause. Lisa clenched her jaw. She had come in with the upper hand, but Trump had successfully turned the debate into a battle of perspectives. The fight wasn't over yet, but one thing was clear: Trump wasn't going down without a fight. Trump remained calm, his expression unreadable as Lisa adjusted her notes, sensing that she was beginning to lose control of the conversation. The audience was no longer entirely on her side, and she knew she had to regain her footing quickly. Trump leaned in slightly and spoke, his voice unwavering. Lisa, I find this study fascinating, but let me ask you something: who funded it? The room fell silent. Lisa blinked, momentarily caught off guard. The researchers behind it, she began, but Trump interrupted smoothly. Exactly, the researchers. But who paid them? Who set the parameters? Who decided what results they wanted before they even started? Because, let me tell you, Lisa, studies like these don't come out of nowhere. They are designed to push an agenda. The audience murmured in intrigue. Lisa frowned, pressing forward. So are you saying scientific research is inherently biased? Trump shrugged. I'm saying that in today's world, a study can be crafted to say just about anything. People pick and choose their data to fit whatever narrative they're pushing. And let's be honest, There are plenty of people out there who would love to discredit religion and anyone who believes in it. Lisa crossed her arms. That sounds like a convenient way to dismiss inconvenient facts. Trump smiled. Lisa, facts are important, but so is perspective. And here's a fact: faith and intelligence are not mutually exclusive. They never have been. Faith is the foundation of human civilization. It's what built the greatest societies in history. Faith doesn't contradict intelligence, it fuels it. Lisa hesitated. The audience erupted into applause, signaling a shift in the room's energy. But, she interjected quickly, wouldn't you say blind faith can be dangerous? It has led to oppression, war, and the suppression of scientific progress. Trump nodded. Absolutely. But blind ideology has done the same. Science has been used to justify eugenics, oppression, and war too. The problem isn't faith, the problem is extremism, in any form. Lisa pursed her lips, searching for a retort. Mark Reynolds, the co-host, leaned in, intrigued. So, Mr. Trump, you're saying that faith is essential to human progress? Trump nodded. It's not just essential, it's inevitable. Because people crave purpose, Lisa. They need something bigger than themselves. That's not a weakness. That's what makes us human. Lisa exhaled, realizing that Trump had flipped the narrative. She had come in confident, certain that she could dominate this discussion. But now, for the first time, she felt like she was the one being challenged. The audience was on the edge of their seats. The tide had turned, and the battle was far from over. Trump leaned back, his fingers interlocked, watching Lisa closely. He could sense the subtle shift in the room. The audience, once firmly on her side, was now uncertain, waiting to see how she would respond to his last rebuttal. Lisa cleared her throat, determined to reclaim control. Mr. Trump, she began, if intelligence and faith are so compatible, why do we see some of the world's leading scientists and scholars moving away from religion? Trump smirked. That's an interesting point, Lisa. But let me ask you something. Does that mean Einstein, Newton, or Tesla were unintelligent? A hush fell over the room. The audience waited for Lisa's response, but she hesitated. Well, she started, they lived in different times, when religion was more ingrained in society. Trump shook his head. That's a weak argument. These were some of the greatest minds in human history. They sought knowledge, but they also understood that some things are beyond human comprehension. Faith didn't make them less intelligent, it inspired them. Lisa shifted in her seat, her confidence faltering. The audience, once unwavering in their support for her, was now reconsidering Trump's stance. Mark Reynolds, the co-host, stepped in, sensing the tension. Mr. Trump, some might argue that faith was simply a cultural norm for those figures. Wouldn't you say that as science has progressed, people have naturally moved away from religious explanations? Trump nodded. Science explains a lot, Mark, but it doesn't explain everything. We still don't fully understand consciousness, the origins of the universe, or the fundamental nature of reality. To assume science has all the answers is not intelligence, it's arrogance. The audience murmured in agreement. Lisa glanced at Mark, realizing that even he was intrigued by Trump's line of reasoning. She decided to push back. So, you're saying we should ignore evidence-based reasoning in favor of faith? Trump chuckled. Lisa, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that intelligence is knowing when to ask bigger questions. Blind rejection of faith isn't reason, it's bias. Lisa's jaw tightened. She was losing ground, and she knew it. Trump pressed on. Look at history. Every great civilization was built on faith. Rome, Egypt, the United States. Faith provides a moral compass, a foundation for progress. And yet, some people want to dismiss it as outdated. Lisa took a deep breath. But faith has also been used to justify oppression and conflict. Trump nodded. And so has science. The difference is, faith has given people hope, direction, and meaning for thousands of years. Science and faith are not enemies. They are two sides of the same coin. The audience applauded. Lisa glanced at Mark, who was now leaning back, watching Trump with newfound respect. For the first time that night, Lisa Carter was on the defensive. Trump had not only survived the debate, he was now controlling it. Lisa struggled to regain her composure. She had entered the debate with confidence, believing she would expose Trump's weaknesses. But now, she was the one under scrutiny. Her arguments, once sharp and incisive, now felt scattered. She flipped through her notes, searching for a strong counterpoint. But Trump had already seized the narrative. The audience sensed it. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Lisa hesitated before responding. "So, Mr. Trump," she finally said, forcing a smile, "you're saying that faith is essential, that intelligence and belief are not at odds. But surely, you must admit that blind faith can be dangerous?" Trump didn't flinch. "Lisa, blind anything can be dangerous: blind faith, blind skepticism, blind obedience. Intelligence isn't about rejecting faith. It's about understanding when to question and when to respect something greater than ourselves." The audience applauded, the shift in momentum now undeniable. Lisa's confident demeanor had cracked, her authority slipping away. Even Mark Reynolds, the co-host, seemed to recognize it. Lisa attempted one final counterattack. "But Mr. Trump, history is filled with leaders who used faith as a tool for control, to manipulate the masses. Shouldn't we be wary of that?" Trump nodded. "Absolutely. Just like we should be wary of those who use science, government, and media to manipulate the masses. The problem isn't faith, it's the people who exploit it. But that doesn't mean faith itself is the enemy." Lisa opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. The silence was deafening. Trump leaned forward, delivering his final statement. "Lisa, intelligence isn't just about questioning everything, it's about knowing when to respect something bigger than yourself. The greatest minds in history understood that. That's why faith and reason have always gone hand in hand." The audience erupted in thunderous applause. Lisa Carter's face remained composed, but her eyes revealed the truth. She had lost control of the debate. Trump stood up, adjusting his suit jacket. He turned to the audience, giving them a small nod before looking back at Lisa. "This was a great conversation," he said. "I appreciate a good debate." Lisa forced a smile. "Yes, a great debate." As the cameras zoomed out, the crowd continued to cheer. The internet was already ablaze, clips of the debate spreading like wildfire. Hashtags like hashtag Trump dominates, hashtag Lisa collapse, and hashtag FaithFees reason was trending within minutes. Mark Reynolds turned to the camera, his voice filled with excitement. "Well, folks, that was certainly one for the history books." Lisa exhaled, her hands gripping the desk. She had come prepared to challenge Trump, but instead, she had been outmaneuvered. And millions had watched it happen live. The screen faded to black, but the debate would rage on long after the cameras stopped rolling. The debate had barely ended when the internet exploded. Within minutes, social media platforms lit up with reactions, memes, and fiery discussions dissecting every moment of the showdown. The hashtags hashtag Trump wins, again, hashtag Lisa meltdown, and hashtag FaithFees logic trended worldwide. Twitter was ablaze with opinions. Trump supporters hailed the debate as a defining moment, celebrating his ability to dismantle Lisa Carter's arguments and maintain composure under pressure. "Trump just schooled the media again. Lisa never stood a chance." Hashtag Trump wins again, one user tweeted. Others were more critical, arguing that Lisa had been unfairly targeted. Lisa tried her best, but the crowd was clearly biased against her from the start. Lisa deserved better. Meanwhile, YouTube was flooded with highlight clips. Political analysts, content creators, and media commentators jumped on the viral moment, dissecting every word and every expression. Some called it one of the most brutal media takedowns in history, while others questioned whether Trump's tactics were purely rhetorical dominance rather than substantive debate. News networks scrambled to keep up. Conservative outlets lauded Trump's performance, with headlines like "Trump destroys anti-religious bias" on live TV and "Lisa Carter's worst night" on The Carter Report. Liberal media, however, painted a different picture, with headlines such as "Trump evades hard questions with showmanship" and "Did Lisa Carter get set up?" Lisa Carter herself remained silent for the first 24 hours. When she finally addressed the controversy, she released a statement saying, "Debate is meant to challenge ideas, and last night's conversation did just that. I stand by the importance of critical discussion." However, her response did little to change the dominant online narrative. Trump, on the other hand, seized the momentum. He took to his own social media platform, Truth Social, to declare victory. "Another W for the people. The media never learns. We stand for truth, faith, and America. Hashtag MAGA, hashtag Trump wins again." The fallout extended beyond social media. Prominent figures weighed in, from religious leaders defending Trump's stance on faith to scientists criticizing his dismissal of certain studies. Political commentators debated whether the media had underestimated Trump once again, failing to predict how effectively he could shift public sentiment. The clip of Trump's final statement, "Intelligence," isn't just about questioning everything, but knowing when to respect something bigger than yourself, became the most shared video of the night. Some saw it as profound, others saw it as manipulative rhetoric. Within days, media think pieces dissected the event, with some calling it the debate that changed everything. Lisa Carter's credibility had taken a hit, though some defended her as being unfairly ambushed by an audience that had already chosen their champion. Political analysts predicted ripple effects beyond the debate itself. Conservative strategists claimed this moment solidified Trump's influence over public discourse, while progressive commentators warned about the dangers of populist rhetoric overshadowing nuanced discussion. Talk show hosts and late-night comedians weighed in, some mocking Lisa's performance, others questioning the ethics of how the debate unfolded. Parody accounts on social media exaggerated key moments, creating viral memes that only fueled the debate's staying power. Even international media outlets covered the event. European newspapers analyzed the cultural divide between American perspectives on faith and reason. Asian news agencies dissected how Trump's rhetoric could impact global diplomacy. In the Middle East, some commentators saw his remarks as reaffirming traditional values, while others criticized him for leveraging faith for political gain. As the dust settled, the Carter Report faced an existential crisis. Viewership ratings had skyrocketed, but at what cost? Lisa Carter's team debated how to proceed. Should they address the fallout head-on, or pivot away from the controversy? Some advisors suggested doubling down, inviting Trump back for a rematch. Others cautioned that the damage had already been done. Meanwhile, Trump basked in the victory. Fundraising emails went out within hours, capitalizing on the debate's viral nature. Campaign strategists framed it as yet another instance of Trump standing up against the establishment, turning adversity into a rallying cry for his base. Ultimately, the debate had become more than just an intellectual battle. It had become a media spectacle, an online war of narratives. It wasn't just about faith versus intellect anymore. It was about power, influence, and the shaping of public opinion. Trump had not only defended his position, he had turned the debate into a media victory, using it to reinforce his image as an unshakable force in modern politics. The conversation would rage on, but one truth was clear: this was a moment neither Trump, Lisa Carter, nor the audience would soon forget.